What's going on, guys? National Master James Canty III here, and today we are looking at playing against the Colle setups with the King's Indian defense. So let's jump right into it. Here we go. Okay, so we have in this game, let me turn the eval bar off. So I was playing, he was like 2450, something like that, somewhere around there. But so I'm playing online. He plays e3 first, so kind of weird. You know, the Colle system usually is like d4, but you can play e3, move one anyway. Knight of 6 and then knight of 3. G6 like we always do, King's Indian for life. D4, bishop G7, and then bishop D3. This Colle system sometimes is annoying, especially if they go for the H4, H5 setups and are just trying to launch a kingside attack immediately. Now, this is not usual King's Indian stuff, and actually, as you see right here, it says Indian game. East Indian is what we're playing. East Indian, quotation marks, right? But we don't study in East Indian, we play King's Indian. So, with that being said, we just set up like this. Then bishop to d3, right? So he's going to probably go for this. But if not, then he'll do stuff like maybe c4 and e4 kind of later. But usually, if you're not playing a King's Indian setup, a lot of times they like to sacrifice here. And you'll also see f4 early on too in these aggressive type Colle systems. But this one is not as aggressive. He's kind of like combining two lines together. Usually you would have an early f4 with the bishop on d3. So something like, instead of even knight f3, it would be something like f4 in a weird way. And then d4 and then bishop d3. So here d4, bishop g7, bishop d3, d6, knight f3, castles, castles. And then they're going to go for this kind of setup. Queen e1, queen h4, and trying to mate you as fast as possible. That's another way of playing the Colle. But he played it this way. Knight f3, g6, bishop g7, castles, and h4. So h4 is now here. A lot of times, guys, they will play h5. And if I play d6, which I have played before, I have faced h5. I tried to take with my knight. And actually, guys, they sacrificed this rook. He hit you real hard. And then knight to g5. And we live. Okay, you might be in some trouble, big fella. Don't block with your face. Okay, so you can definitely like get in trouble here. Queen takes h5 is coming. All of this. And I actually thought I could get out of this before, but I got in a lot of trouble many times against this. So be very careful of this. Very, very careful of h4. So actually, I just played h5. And after analyzing this game, I was totally fine by playing h5. Now, of course, here they actually do recommend d6. This is a different situation, but I have been in this position too many times. I'm not going to allow it to happen anymore, right? They used to sack here and play, oops, of course, not g5. Let's take. Let's see what they say. What about knight g5 now? So this time, I guess I have bishop g4, but this is not fun. I've been in very bad ends of this. So I just played h5 and like, you know what? I'm just going to stop you from doing it. h5, and he plays knight g5, so that's the problem with playing h5. You now can't kick the knight. But I'm going to play aggressive. I'm going to try to open the center because his king's still here. So what do I play? e5 immediately with ambitions of playing rook e8, taking on d4, stuff like that. I'm also expecting him to castle queenside, so I want to prepare for that quickly. He plays c3. What do I play? Rook to e8, probably taking, and c5 being a thing. Then he plays queen b3 because he's hitting f7. Bishop e6 allows him to take on b7. So after here, maybe even taking first and then taking on b7, but it's annoying. This pawn's gone. I probably could have went for this line, but I just didn't want to give him something free. He also was moving fast, so I wanted to like, you know, stay good on time and also play something that stops this on f7. So I played d5. I block it. You're not going to get here, and at the same time, I'm still threatening this. c5 is good. Queen's a little misplaced on b3, so he takes it on d4. Rook takes e5, rerouting the knight. Great move here, so he can castle quickly with bishop d2. So I moved back to e7, actually. I could have went back to e8, but I went here so I can put some extra protection here just in case I need to use this pawn for whatever reason. You know, maybe c5, d4 eventually, but I wanted to make sure this was defended. And he plays queen c2, and I had to look to see if he was going to sacrifice here. Because I was like, I wonder if he'll sack there. I wonder if he's going to sack. And if he does, like, what happens afterwards, right? So I said, well, I always have queen e8 if he ends up sacking. Sack, queen takes, queen e8, and he can't get in here due to my knight defending h7. So I play c5. I just said, let's go for it, because I know you're going to castle, or you should. He played bishop d2, and then I play c4, because I tried to lock it up, and here I want to play b5 and b4 and a5. Really quickly, really quickly. b5, a5, b4, knight to c6. My rook's actually, didn't even think about this till now, but this rook is already kind of helping. So if I get b5 in, I can play rook b7 eventually and just press towards the king. So rook e7 was pretty nice. But after c4, he snaps. He says, you know what? Take on G6. That's not a move, though. That's not a move. And immediately it's losing. So now after pawn takes, queen takes, it looks scary, but looks are very deceiving in chess. I also tell students that, you know, it takes 3 pieces for a successful attack, at least 3. And here we only have 2. And I have like 3 around my king. And luckily, Rook E7 is defending F7 too. This is not hanging, right? So what do? Queen E8. Trade him off, bro. Trade him off. And remember, we talked about this before, having his Queen E8 move. And then queen to C2, knight C6. He does castle queenside. And look at that, guys. Now we're able to play B5. B5's there. Actually, sorry. Let's move back a few moves. So B5. Castle's queenside, B5. Then he plays knight to D4. He's attacking the B5 pawn. Not really attacking my knight. I don't really want to take this and open the file yet. So I had to figure out kind of what I wanted to do here. So I was like thinking around, I want to still get this going. There's no real threats right now. So I'll play rook to B8. Rook to B8 to play B4 and just open the king side up, have my bishop to help me eventually. Then he plays knight F5, expecting me to capture here on F5. And so I did, because the knights are getting kind of annoying now. I'm up a piece. The rule is trade when you're up, not when you're down. That's the rule. So after bishop takes F5, queen takes F5, knight to E5. Now I'm threatening knight to D3. He plays G4. And I play knight to D3. And here I actually saw this sequence. After knight D3 check, king has to move. I thought about B4 first because my rook's already here. Through an X-ray. This X-ray is really nice here. So B4 is just a move away. It's literally just a move away. I also have doubling coming. But I said, you know what? This is kind of annoying. He has a lot going on. So let's get rid of it. Neutralize the threats, you know, before I start my own. Rook E5, queen F3. This is annoying. He will take this. So I just got rid of it. Not only am I hitting F2 now. Now I can actually still play B4. And even stuff like queen to G6. He plays bishop C1, trade, or actually gets out of the way. I could take it, but I do play queen to G6, and also, you know, making my rook another square for F2. So at this point, this game's over. He plays king to A1, rook F8, and we great. Okay, the game's over, big fella. Rook F8, give me everything. It's an everything must go sell here today. Rook F8, I take on F2, and that's what we do. Knight takes F2, E4, game's over here. I'm taking one rook. And then I take the bishop. And here I actually sat for a while. The engine said B4 was a move. Multiple times. Many times B4 was a move. But actually, I mean, as a human here, I just wanted to simplify. And like, you know what? I'm up material. Let's just get it off the board. Bishop takes, knight takes C1. Rook takes knight. And then D takes E4. Rook to G1. And so I'm like, okay, past pawns must be pushed. If you move this knight, I'm snapping on G3. So it doesn't matter. So I pushed. Then I pushed again. So now if you see something like knight H3 or, you know, knight H3, maybe even knight F3, I can take on G1. Doesn't matter. If you do take this way, I take here. There's no way of stopping either or. And if you take this way, then I just have rook F1. So that was my idea. I was going to take regardless. If you move that knight, knight. If you move that knight, knight. I wasn't playing. So I played E2. He played A3. And here we go, guys. I went queen to D3. Because my idea is to play rook F1. There is no checks for white. And you always want to ask yourself this kind of thing too. Are there any checks or captures before I move? So queen D3, I don't see any checks, no captures. So I'll play queen D3 and rook F1 with my intention. He plays king A2 and I play rook F1 and he's done. And the game's over. He resigned right here actually. But this is what would have happened. Actually, no. Did he resign? Oh, this is the rest of the game. This is what would have happened. But he didn't do this. Yeah, he resigned at rook F1. That was the end of the game here. But rook F1 ends, of course, if rook takes. I actually queen now with my rook not being able to capture, mate threats being everywhere. So, and if he doesn't capture, of course, you move the queen, then we can trade queens and then the queen this way. So everything's losing, guys. Everything's losing. But again, from the beginning here, E3, no matter what, you know, KID for life, King's Indian defense. The good thing about it is that the setup never changes. You get here to this position usually, and you always get the same setup. Not every line. Some lines are definitely different. But you usually get the same setup. Knight B to D2. I played H5. And then knight to G5. Actually, let's go back. H4. Yeah, I played D6. Knight B to D2. No, I was about to say something's wrong here. H5. G6. I know I played H5 early on. After H4, for some reason... H4, I played D6 here though. He didn't play H5, it's kind of weird. But H5, so for future reference guys, make sure we play H5. You know, H5 is a little bit slightly, you know, better here, I would say, because h5 is quite annoying. He didn't do it though. I went h5 myself, and of course knight g5, e5, and then you know, we kind of play around the center here, blocking off stuff like this. I've had a lot of experience in these type of positions here against the Colle, or what is it, Joe Bava Londons and Colles. You have to play them differently here. You have to play very active. So I knew this was going to be a thing. I have to thrust all of my pawns as quickly as possible before he tries to get this attack off and annoy me here. But luckily for us, he did sacrifice. Looks are very deceiving in chess, and his sacrifice looks really good. But after calculating, what else? How do you get in here? Like, you only have a knight and a queen. I have everything rock solid over here. This knight's never coming in. You don't have another bishop. The rook's blocked off. You can't play g4. So honestly, it's a very bad sack. But it's something that you may be afraid of in your own games, and you may actually botch this just because it looks scary. Looks are very deceiving in chess here. Yep, so we got this queenside attack, you know, and opposite side's castle. Whoever gets to the king first is going to win. And we ended up getting to the king first, as you see here. And it ended in very nice fashion, guys. So hopefully you guys learned something from this about you know, playing against sometimes the h4 setups and the Colle kind of things in this game here, King's Indian Defense for life. So thank you so much for watching the videos, guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, share this video. We're gonna do some more content this week. If you have any suggestions, put them in the chat, and then definitely we'll get that answer for you guys. So I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching, and let's go. We in here.